Hello and welcome to a quick recap and review of Westworld, amazing orgasmic science fiction series that has been going around right now. The season premiered in this year recently, and in case you haven't seen the last episode, I recommend that you go and watch because spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about that. So just to give you a background, so that was like okay. So spoiler alert of one. So let's just give you a background. Westworld is a science fiction story set in the sometime in the distant future, or maybe not so distant future, in which there is a theme park. Wait, okay, let's back up. Huh. Westworld is based on a Michael Crichton. Anyway, the guy who made Jurassic Park, the most famous of his creations. But anyway, Westworld is one of Michael Crichton's movies that was adapted as a TV series recently by Jonathan Nolan, primarily, and it's it's amazing. It's like it's to a science fiction fan, it's like seeing a Lamborghini on the road right next to you when all the world has to offer you is Activa. Uh, I may be overstating this and exaggerating this, but anyway, this is the point of a one take video. Anyway, coming back to Westworld, amazing cast, right from Ed Harris to the leads, Evan, Rachel, not good with words. Anyway, some amazing characters, and what we must really look at is how the series has teased us at every new occasion or new episode, and how they've been revealing these stories. And we'll come back to this, how television has changed over the years. But anyway, coming back to that's the problem with one take videos. You just tend to have no script, no flow as such, and you just blabber whatever you have to say. Anyway, Westworld, set in the near future, where there's a theme park somewhere in Western America, probably Utah, from what I know, where there is a settlement occupied by androids, robots that look like humans, who bleed like humans, who have sex like humans, who have emotions like humans, who have rational thoughts like humans, who generally run on a scripted storyline given to them by the creators of the park. And it is we enter the park in its 30th year or so, and we enter at a important moment where things start to change and turn for the mysterious. But anyway, so spoiler alert from henceforth for the recent episodes. We have seen till now how Anthony Hopkins, who really a brilliant actor, like a power force, who though hasn't been given a lot of screen time, but has an important role to play in this series. Till the first 2 or 3 episodes, his role was restricted to what seemed like mysterious mad scientist. But in the last episode, we really come to know about his vision for the new storyline that he talks about, and how he is in the end a sharp and cunning park founder, Dr. Ford, yes, a sharp creator and a cunning creator who, despite what we may think, is not losing his grip on reality, but is in fact probably the only one who is at the deepest level of the game. We also come to know about what the man in the black suit, or the man in the black, man in black, okay, man in black. Sorry, Will Smith, but okay. So, the man in black, played by Ed Harris. We have seen this grizzled Hollywood veteran in numerous occasions. Probably the most memorable for me was The Rock in the early to late 2000s. But Ed Harris brings forth a underplayed villainous role, which keeps tantalizing us with its connection to the past and the present of Westworld. Which brings me to the popular theories that have been going around about Westworld, courtesy my friends Aamir, Hussain, and Pranav, Bhorkar, who unfortunately are not part of this discussion right now. But so there's one theory which talks about how William, the current new entrant into the park, who's the naive, do-gooder, I'll take care of Dolores park guest. There are like alternate timelines going around where William actually goes through the park till the end, and he becomes Ed Harris or the Man in Black, as we see, and that is the actual mystery of the show. But I am not a lot in favor of that, considering Dolores has, in the same timeline, has had flashbacks or deja vu or whatever you may call it, of the Man in Black raping her or attacking her, and then one of the hosts attacking her, and that is when she shoots the host because she thinks it's the Man in Black, or that's at least what we see. But the point being, it's unlikely that they're experimenting, or rather they're focusing on alternate timelines when they have a really strong core consciousness of the hosts that we can question. That are the hosts really conscious? Can they really recall past memories and understand that they are in fact living in a world that is not real, let alone their existence? I mean, I think that the show is focusing more on that rather than focusing on an alternate timeline mystery, but you never know. As we see actually in the last scene of the latest episode, that Maeve finally realizes that this world that she is living in is an illusion, and that brings out a very interesting aspect that I would like to talk about. Is what is the level of control that the Westworld managing team, the QA, the behavioral department, and whatnot have? Because early on we see that there's a camera up near Abernathy's house, and they can look down on Abernathy, looking at the photograph that he finds and how he reacts to that. However, nobody realizes when Ed Harris scalps that poor Indian and sees the drawing of the maze on the inside of his scalp. Which brings us to an interesting question: is how do you define your characters when you do not explore their powers in your made up fictional world? So either they haven't thought about this, which is unlikely considering the powerhouses that are running the show, or B, there is someone in the QA or in the managing team which knows of the maze, which knows of the deeper game, or which at least is overseeing all this and is aware of the most interesting things that we have seen, including Ed Harris scalping that Indian. I mean, what is the level of surveillance that these guys have? Where are the cameras? Can they retrieve memories? Like if they see a host dying because his scalp was torn off and he was killed on a cliff or something like that, they will obviously get a signal. So what is that process that hasn't been seen till now, that has been going around? Who are the people who are controlling the maze and through that same hand controlling the QA and the managing of the park? That is a very interesting option, or rather storyline, that I would like to see in the future, which I hope they do not dismiss by simply saying I was overseeing it the whole time, everything I knew was under my control and shit like that. Which brings us to another interesting point, which is Arnold, Anthony Hopkins, Dr. Ford's partner, who apparently died in the park. A popular theory is again that Arnold, in lieu of what he was working on, the level of consciousness for the host, integrated him into the servers or the software of the host, and that is the voice that Dolores hears, as we have seen in episode 2 or 3. Or Ed Harris is Arnold, which is unlikely, but we definitely would be seeing much more of Arnold. Coming back to the last episode, what we have seen Westworld progress over these 3-4 episodes is not only them teasing us, which the normal TV shows do, cliffhangers and little peeks into the future. But what Westworld did along with that teasing was establish its world in different levels. Like the basic idea of the park was pretty much clear in the first episode. Brilliant direction and screenplay, I must add, and the music by Ramin Djawadi, the guy behind the Game of Thrones score and whatnot. I would do things that are unspeakable of if that music played right now. But what we've seen with Westworld is a sort of intelligent television in which things are implied more than told, and that is where you make an immersive experience for the viewer. Where if you compare to Game of Thrones, the location and the storyline and just the whole world is, because it's a fantasy based world, it's so immersive in its own nature that it's I won't say it's easier for them, but it flows through the seasons and through the episodes easier. Whereas when we come to Westworld, it's the premise is of science fiction, but in itself it's a thriller, because we are not talking about how they created the host. We are not talking about what substitutes for blood and muscles and nerves and what is going on behind the brain, and we are more talking about the consciousness of the host. We are more concerned about their interaction with the guests and how that plays along. So even though it's deeply rooted in science fiction, it's much more of a thriller and much more of a, how do I say this, a mystery series, to put it poorly. But what I'm really excited about is how Dr. Ford's storyline plays out, and how the moment I'm actually waiting for is intensely waiting for is when the Man in Black meets either of these people, probably Dr. Ford himself or probably somebody from the park. I mean, I'm waiting for the moment somebody from the park notices the Man in Black, apart from him being just a random violence hungry guest in the park who requested 2 charges, the cigars that blew up in the last episode. So again, short recap of the video. Either somebody is overseeing the operations in the QA and the managing team who knows about all that is going on, or the Man in Black, through some untold way as of now, has circumvent all attention and is operating on his own to reach the maze. And what I'm really excited about is now the Man in Black meeting Wyatt. We have seen him take Teddy on his way to meet Wyatt. We saw Teddy get massacred by Wyatt's men in the last episode. So what really, so the things to look out in the next episode are the Man in Black and Teddy meeting Wyatt, or some interaction between them, because the Man in Black obviously has history with Teddy and Dolores and whatnot. B, the storyline of Dolores and William. I would probably expect some romantic angle, but I would not like such cliches to take significant portions of the next episode. And the third and very important storyline that we get to see is how Dr. Ford, Anthony Hopkins, actually goes forth with his new storyline, and how the QA or the board of directors, they have already sent a representative, how that plays out. So yeah, that's a disconcerted, very disorganized one take recap and review of Westworld till now. If you guys like this or have any comments or suggestions, or you want me to do something else regarding this, just let me know. Until the next one take video. Bye bye.